What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Nice night, very mild. No wind tonight, not even a breeze. Kool-Aid, put it in here. This beverage was very popular in the 70s, and apparently with Jim Jones. So take a little try here. Very good. A bit sweet for me, but still good. That's refreshing. So, been buying vinyl lately. We bought my daughter a record player, vinyl record, and we've been buying, like the old days, vinyl records, which I prefer the sound. Although CDs these days have a very good sound also. It's not like the old days in the 80s when CDs first came out. They would compensate. They would dramatically raise the volume where it redlined on you in order for you to have a lot of volume and make it sound better, but you were getting a lot of distortion and inferior quality sound on the CDs in the old days. But now it's much better. Now you get equivalent, I think, sound, but I still like the sound of vinyl. I used to have a huge vinyl record collection back in the old days, and problem was I had a very old record player. Somebody gave me a 1940s record player, and it was very heavy, industrial strength. It looked like something that you would build in Pittsburgh. So I had that, and the needle wasn't the best, and some of my stuff had scratches. That's the thing with vinyl. You gotta be very careful, otherwise, these things, they last a short period of time, and then you gotta toss them out and buy another one. But I do love vinyl, and it's not just the record. It's the art, the pictures. You buy one of these in the old days, and it was like, something you were holding. It felt like something. Nowadays, this little whatever. This one came with the lyrics, information about the musicians on it, where they recorded it, all that stuff. Nice photograph in the front, and you would look at it for like an hour before you actually played it. I remember going to the record store. In those days, Skippy White's. I don't know if anybody knows about Skippy White's, but it's legendary. They had everything. I'd go there. There was Strawberries. Pete's Records is another place I would go to. That was a store where record stations, music, like radio stations, would go and buy their stuff from. Tons of 45s. I had 45s, stacks of them. You had to put that little thing in the center. So I don't even know why they couldn't just make the whole, like the 33 1/3 vinyls. They have a little hole. Why do you need that big hole, and then you have to get an adapter? So I would go to Pete's. I'd get tons of 45s, but when I was really young and I started getting into music, I would go to a place called Sights and Sounds, or Sight and Sounds. I don't think it had an S on the site. Sight and Sounds. Could have had an S, maybe. But anyway, I would go there a lot, and I would get the latest. They had 45s. 45s back then were $1. And I would get all that stuff. Scott Brothers, Elektra Records, Columbia. And then I would go home and listen to that. Just constantly listening to music. So when I would go to this Sights and Sounds place, the mother ran the place, older lady, and she had the son. The son was like, I don't know, 20 years old. And then in recent years, I saw him, and I think the mother died a while back, but now he's like an old guy with a cane. So the years of, we're all older, Anyway, the thing I remember most about that record store, besides the fact that it was 6 or 7 blocks from my house, and I would be there all the time, but a couple of things. They had pins that I would buy, the band names, little enamel pins, and they had guitar pins. So I would go in there, I'd buy that stuff. Then they had t-shirt iron-ons, and I would always go, give me that one, and I'd take it home and I'd use the iron, pressing it, and then after about, I don't know, a couple of weeks or so, start peeling off. So then I would tell them, you guys do it. And then they had this press thing, and theirs, the way they did it would last a lot longer, but it wasn't like, what is it, embroidery? That really lasted. Or that screen thing they do, that lasts too. That lasts a generation or two. So that was the place. Skippy White's, Pete's, Strawberry Records, Tar Records, Music Smith was another place I would go to. But that was pretty much it. And I would buy vinyls. And then I had an uncle. I still have an uncle. He's still around. Who knew a lady, an old lady, and one day she was cleaning out her attic, and she said to him, because he was into music, and she said to him, there's a box over there, big box about that big, you know, that high, full of LPs. And she said, you know, if you want to take it. And he took it. And then she gave him a 1940s record player. And then one day I was at his house. It was fall time. It was kind of, you know, chilly out. Had the door open to the basement. I mean, the basement, the garage is next to the basement. So they had the garage door open. And I looked at the box. I was kind of looking at it. I was flipping through. I go, who are these people? I never seen these artists before. It was like all 40s, you know, early 40s to like early 50s stuff. But mostly 40s. Dennis Day was in there, things like that. And he saw me looking, and he goes, you want it? Take it. And he goes, while you're at it, take the record player if you wanted to. And the record player was very heavy. You know, I felt like I was picking up cinder blocks. So I got the record player, I got the bunch of albums, and I got the speakers, and the speakers were like brick heavy. So went home and I started listening to all this old stuff. I started getting into it. You could hear all the little like hissing sounds, and I got into that music. I would play it all the time. And then because of the scratching of the vinyls, we started to prefer the CD. But it's hard, especially in those days. You could not beat the sound of a vinyl. Vinyl is really good, and like I said, the artwork. So today I'm a fan of Jackson Browne. You know, a lot of songs, the old stuff, you know, but Lives on the Balance, that was a good album, came out, very political, but I like Jackson Browne. There was a time when I was looking at Jackson Browne, I was like, this guy's a vampire, he does not age at all. Kept saying that, and now I look at him and I go, nope, he's not a vampire. So this came out in 2021, I saw it today, I had to buy it because I'm a fan of Jackson Browne. Downhill from Everywhere. Got a nice picture of you know, a couple of ships here. So that produced by Jackson Browne. Normally, you know, it's a 2021 release, so it's pretty new. Used to be these things were like $8.99 in the old days. Now this one about 30 bucks, and it's got 10 new songs here. And I was going to say, normally I'm not a fan of the artist who is singing, also producing. I like to have like fresh eyes on a project. So I like, you know, the artist and the producer to be different people. But in this case, Jackson Browne decided he could do a good job producing, and it's produced by Jackson Browne. So we'll see how that goes. Billie Eilish. I like her. 14 songs. I just want to say that, you know, a lot of artists, they put like 14, 15 songs. I'm a big fan of 9 to 10. I find the other 4 or 5 a filler. So pick the best 10 that you have, and the other ones put them in a vault somewhere, and then release them after you die. It is refreshing though. Then I'm a big fan of Susan Vega. When that song Luca came out, you know, My Name Is Luca. Big fan of that song. Big fan of hers. Love the album. The was it the 98.8 degrees Fahrenheit? That one. Blood Makes Noise. If You Were in My Movie. Love that album. They're shorter songs, but they get the beat going. And when I got that album, I could not get enough of it. Like, I really, really loved that album. So she has I think this is pretty new. Carson McCullers, Susan Vega, Lover Beloved. 10 songs, the way I like it. 10 songs. You know, you can write 20 songs. Pick the 10 best to make an album. Springsteen writes, like, you know, 30 songs, and then he picks the best. But, you know, lately he's been releasing albums that have way too many songs. Just pick the 10 best. 10 best. Then I got the Eagles. I'm a big fan of the Eagles. Big fan of the Eagles. Love them as the Eagles and as solo artists. Glenn Frey, big fan of his stuff. You know, just like the sound. Don Henley, Boys of Summer, Dirty Laundry. Right? Don Henley is like top of the line musician. Great singer, great songwriter, great drummer, Don Henley. But he's got a lot of good stuff, especially this album here, Hotel California. Good stuff. Then a little bit nostalgic here. Sesame Street songs. Sesame Street. It's got all the good tunes from Sesame Street. Right there. Big fan of that show. I watched it a lot. Fascinated with Oscar the Grouch's Garbage Can. Always wanted to check it out, go inside. Can't wait to hear that. Olivia Rodrigo. What does she got here? $11. Okay, I'll accept that. 11. Then the Beatles. I have another Beatles one in there. I didn't bring it out, but I have Abbey Road, the remastered one, remixed. That one is still sealed up. I haven't heard it yet. I just bought it maybe a couple of weeks ago. But this is the Beatles, the number ones. This one here is a must-have. I'm a huge Beatles fan. Many years ago, I had a dream where I met Paul McCartney. It was a summer day in my dream, and it was lush out. A lot of green grass. The bushes were extra green. Trees, you know, it was almost like somebody turned up the color in my dream. And I was in the backyard. And all our yards were connected with all these other houses, big houses. So there was no picket fence, no fence, just open. And I was just looking. It was like I was in the Arboretum. Everybody's yard was like extra bushy, extra grassy, but well maintained. And there was one of those swings, those long ones, you know, where Grandpa and Grandma swing back and forth and drink lemonade in the summertime. One of those. And as I'm looking at it, I go, wait a minute, that's Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney is on the swing. So I go over, and he was by himself swinging back and forth. And I said, you're Paul McCartney? And he said, I am. And I go, can I talk to you? And he said, sure. I sat down, and we were talking about music. Now, my brain was asking the questions and answering them, but in my dream, I thought it was Paul McCartney answering them. I was asking him all these things about the Beatles and the songs and John Lennon and his stuff, his solo stuff and all of that, and he was like talking to me, and the dream seemed like it was going on for hours. But in reality, it was probably like 10 minutes. So, and I became a huge fan of the Beatles in the summer of '81. It was over at my cousin's house, and she had the Beatles. It was the one with the Beatles on the balcony. One side they're clean shaven, the other side they're all bushy. And when I started playing that, immediately it pulled me in. Every song to me was like it was speaking to me. It was like, yeah, you're gonna like us. And to this day, I'm a huge Beatles fan. Saw Paul McCartney live. It was a great concert many years ago, and it was during the Flowers in the Dirt concert or tour. And he was, I don't know, he was probably almost 50 at the time, but he was at the top of his game. Top of his game. You know, in his 40s, you know. I don't know if it was mid-40s or late, probably late 40s. But he was really good. The only thing that was bad about that concert, trying to get out of that parking lot. It was tough. But yeah, it was a very good concert. One of the best concerts I have ever seen. That one and U2. U2 was... Anyway, we got the Beach Boys here. Brian Wilson, lying in bed just like Brian Wilson did. Sometimes it sounds like dead in that song when the guy's singing. So, but I guess it's dead. Brian Wilson was laying in bed for, I don't know, years. And if I want to meet this Brian Wilson, which, you know, I like his stuff, big fan of his, like his style. Like the creative process. If I wanted to meet him, there's a place not too far from here that he takes walks in the morning time. It's like a little park. So that's where he is in the morning. And my last one for now is the Bee Gees. Timeless. It says the all-time greatest hits from the Bee Gees. Love the Bee Gees. Big fan of the Bee Gees. I'm a fan of the old stuff, the disco stuff, big fan of that, and the newer stuff. Alone, good song, the newer stuff. You Win Again, I love that song. But the old stuff, you know, they're all here, all the hits. Always wanted to see them live, but only Barry's left now. I'd go see him. Big fan of Barry Gibb with the beard. You know, You Win Again is on here. Tragedy. Got the old stuff, Words, Massachusetts, To Love Somebody, Lonely Days. I Started a Joke. I think everybody once in a while feels like that song. Jive Talking with the N. Staying Alive. Got that catchy guitar, you know, with that boom, 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 that beat that they took from somewhere else. They didn't have a drummer in Paris, apparently, so they had to use that beat. Night Fever. Man, you hear that and you picture yourself in Studio 54 dancing. So, that's it. Building up the collection. And, yeah, like the vinyl. Buy some more, you know. Anyway, Kool-Aid. Very good.